Hello, I'm Richard Raffan. I have a request to make some knobs for kitchen cabinets, 32 knobs, all slightly different. So what I have here are the blanks, which are approximately 40 millimeters cube, and I'm aiming to get a little knob out of each one. And so you're not going to see the whole lot in this video, you'll just see kind of highlights of this order. Here we have a knob which I made just to check out the kind of routine, the steps in making them. The main thing with the knob is this is going to be held by one screw coming through the drawer front. So this surface here needs to be slightly concave in order that just the rim sits up against the flat of the drawer. So the first thing I have to do is to make a little slightly concave piece by putting the block into the chuck here, and then so I'll flatten off the bottom, and then after that this piece will go onto a little screw. I'm going to make these cross grain, so the grain is going to be running across here, so it's small face work, which presents a few cutting problems, but that's mostly for strength because the screw will grip far better into cross grain than it would into end grain. On this sample, the waist bit here could have been a bit narrower, and the front was just to see how this particular bit of wood worked, but there will be a variety of faces on these knobs. So all the blanks have been cut very roughly into cubes, very roughly in this case, a bit of bark there, and I can see the cross grain running across there. End grain there isn't so clear. It's not very clear on either side, but that's where in the long grain there. So the most important thing here for me is to get the front face, this one, as near vertical at right angles to the lathe bed and also to the lathe axis as possible. So that comes into there, doesn't meet all the way around, but that doesn't really matter. And then all I need to do here is to dish the bottom, and I'm also going to size it so I've got a regular size at the back of the knob. That's this bit back here. This is going to be done with a skewed scraper. Gives me the size. I'm going to rough this down, get it cylindrical with the 1/2 inch spindle gouge. It's 3/8 inch flute. This is loquat, I think, this wood. And if you're inclined to push the tools forcefully into the cut, this might slow you up, because if you go too hard you'll be into the chuck jaws, which is not the best thing for the tools. So I need a little hole in the bottom, which is going to be where the screw goes in, not just for my screw chuck, but also for the eventual fixing screw. So I have a small drill here. I think it's about 1/8 of an inch, about the size of a screw shank anyway, and that just goes in up to the blue paper, which is we have a problem. So I need to super glue that in. Right, that's been super glued back in. I just hope. No, it didn't. Right, I'm having to use some mole grips just to hold this. I don't have a Jacob's chuck with a small enough arbor. So that is the bottom done. That now goes onto a screw chuck. So this is a screw chuck I've made using a about a number 10 old style wood screw. It's the hole. And that is a pretty good grip. A 1/2 inch spindle gouge. And face it off on the front. The main thing is to be able to get my fingers in easily in the back, so coming up the back, it's effectively a shear. It's a pull cut. The bevel isn't rubbing, but it really is a shear cut. And you just hope that it comes nice and cleanly off the tool, so there's minimal sanding, and that's come off very nicely. I saw a slight bit of saw mark there still. Now, so that's fine, and get the front done. Just do a plain one to start with, and that's a pretty good surface that would sand, but I can also do it with a scraper. Having said that was low quartz, I think it's maple. And we'll go with the 320 grit. And that's not going to do it in behind. But come back to 180. Blue, which is 240 grits. And these are going to get beeswaxed. more beeswax. And a sock with a fair amount of beeswax in it. These will build up a patina over time just through use. And people worry about screw chucks not gripping properly. All I can do to get it off. So that's number 1 of 32. Now next, I'm just going to do all the bases just as a batch. Cross grain there. This is a piece of box elder. And so on, and so I'll get them all to this stage, and then if anything exciting happens I'll show you, but I'll see you when I come to do the other sides. Then I thought you might like to see a few alternative views of the hand positions and that sort of thing. This is oak. And you'll be gripping 3 sides of it by the look of it. This time I'll give you a bit of a wider view so you can see what's happening behind the tool. So this is skewed at an angle, so I've got a more comfortable hand position than if the tool is across the face. Making a mark with the left so it lines up with the right. This is a 1/2 inch spindle gouge with a 3/8 flute. And the wood is silky oak. If that doesn't look quite concave enough, you can just go over it with the gouge. And this time I just lost my little hole in the middle. And the flute and the drill is just jamming up. The screw truck I'm using is something I made myself. It's got an old style wood screw through the back of about 40 millimeters long. It comes out 3/8 of an inch, which is 10 millimeters. There's a small shoulder on it here, so it fits, which fits up against the chuck jaws. And just pop it when you need it. Helps if I have the right key. And then those will go straight onto there. So this is a piece of American white oak, kiln dried, hard stuff. And if you're not quite sure where to start, you can just draw a little line and draw a circle on it there, which comes out to the edge. I want to get it round first. Goes round. Use the wing of the tool just to screw the top up. Now next I'm going to do the back, and that really is we're going to try and move with the tool. I've given you this wider view. Have a close look in just a couple of minutes. So going down into the kind of slimness of the handle, and then this is facework, so ideally the cut's got to come from the smaller diameter outwards, which means they're going to be using this wing, the right wing, and just drag the tool back, so it's that kind of an action, scooping action almost. Gently you can do it, the better the cut is likely to be. Now I've already got a rounded knob, so this one can have a slight taper, and I'll stick some grooves in it. 3/8 spindle gouge. Just little arcing cuts into the middle. I'll make that a button, working from the batten back to the bottom of the groove. Sand. Now if your lathe has reverse, you're likely to find it useful on a diameter of this size, because it's not easy to cut cross-grain cleanly on this diameter. So, same again. chattering means it isn't quite tight enough on the screw. Two little flat bits to go. So down from the bottom of the knob into the waist of it, and pull it back up the other side. I'll give you another view of that. Just didn't have the tool rolled over quite far enough on its side. I could do a little bit more out of that little bit. Coming across the top, mostly so I don't interfere with the camera. Just use the wing of the tool for a shear cut, for a shear straight. And that'll sand that. I'm having trouble with that screw, it's retreating for some reason. So I'm just going to screw that through, if you're not quite sure what I mean. It's coming unscrewed at the back. So that's going to get a bit of super glue, screwed in and super glue. Screws that start spinning get pinned in place, so a nail into a hole and across the slot. This is some river oak casuarina. Gives that one a bit of shape in the face. Squeaking sound is probably a bit of chatter, but not bad enough to keep. So I've got enough wax in the sock, I won't need to use the lump. just to make a groove. I'll do another one in there. And then I've got a stick of hardwood here, which happens to be cocobolo. Not much use for anything else. So 180 grit, the yellow. .3/8 spindle gouge. Undercut that just a little bit too much, I think. Didn't look very nice. Lots of wax in the sock. And here we have the final clutch of knobs.